She cheated and thought I'd stay, so I taught her a lesson. I thought I had the perfect life, a beautiful wife, a great job, and a future I had worked hard to build. Emily and I had been together for 6 years, married for 3. We had dreams of buying a house, starting a family. Everything seemed perfect. Until one night, everything shattered. It started with a gut feeling. She had been distant, always on her phone, smiling at messages she'd quickly close when I walked in. Late nights at work, sudden interest in girls' trips, all the classic signs. But I didn't want to believe it. Not Emily. One night, she left her phone unlocked. I wasn't the type to check, but something told me to look. And there it was. Messages from him. Texts filled with inside jokes, plans to meet up, and worst of all, a message saying, "Can't wait for tomorrow night when he's asleep." My heart stopped, but instead of rage, I felt cold, calculated. If she thought I was just going to confront her, scream and beg, she was dead wrong. I spent the next week planning. I gathered proof, screenshots, photos, even a voice recording of her conversation with a friend, laughing about how she had both a stable guy and a fun guy. That was all I needed. The night of our 3rd anniversary, I set the trap. I booked a fancy dinner and acted like nothing was wrong. Halfway through, I excused myself, saying I had a work emergency. I knew exactly where she'd go. An hour later, I walked into a hotel lobby. I had already spoken to the receptionist, showed them proof of my marriage, and asked for a little favor. With a master key in hand, I walked into the room and found them together. Her face turned pale. His turned to fear. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I simply smiled, dropped the printed screenshots onto the bed, and said, "You can keep her." Then I walked out. The best part? The divorce was already in motion. I had moved my money, secured the house in my name, and even had her family on my side. She lost everything. A few months later, she called me, crying. "It was a mistake," she sobbed. "I miss you." I laughed. "You didn't miss me. You missed the life I gave you." Then I hung up. She cheated while I was building our future, so I destroyed hers. I was working 12-hour shifts, building a business from scratch, and saving every penny so my wife, Lauren, and I could have the life we always dreamed of. We had been together for 8 years, married for 4. I thought we were a team. But while I was grinding for our future, she was out enjoying someone else's company. It started with small things. She stopped waiting up for me at night. Her phone, once left lying around, was suddenly locked and glued to her hand. When I tried to plan something for us, she'd brush it off, saying she was too tired or busy with friends. But the truth, she wasn't tired. She was just giving her energy to someone else. I had my suspicions, but I didn't have proof, until I did. A friend saw her at a restaurant, cozying up to some guy. I played it cool, asked her how her girls' night was when she got home. She smiled and lied right to my face. That's when I knew. I spent the next few weeks gathering evidence, GPS tracking, call logs, even a hidden camera in the house. And when I had everything I needed, I didn't just confront her. I ruined her life. First, I contacted a lawyer and set up the divorce, quietly moving all our joint assets into my name. The house, mine. The car, mine. The business she barely cared about but benefited from. Legally, she was entitled to nothing. Then I waited for the perfect moment. Our anniversary was coming up, and she had no idea that I knew. So I set up a romantic dinner at home. Candles, wine, the whole thing. She walked in all dressed up, expecting a perfect night. Instead, she found a laptop open on the table, playing a video of her and her lover in my own house. She froze. Her face turned white. "I can explain," she stammered. I smiled. "No need. I already took care of everything." That's when I handed her the divorce papers. She cried. She begged. She said it was a mistake. But I was done. I left her with nothing, just like she had left me emotionally bankrupt while I was working to give her the best life possible. The guy she cheated with, he ghosted her the moment I cut her off financially. Last I heard, she was living with a friend, struggling to keep up. As for me, I thrived. The business exploded. I traveled. I met someone new, someone who actually valued me. And Lauren? Well, she learned that not all betrayals get forgiven. She cheated on me with my business partner. So I took everything. For 10 years, I built my business from the ground up. Late nights, early mornings, and more sacrifices than I could count. And through it all, I thought my wife, Emily, was my biggest supporter. She was there in the beginning when we had nothing, so I believed we were in it together. But I was wrong. One night, after a long meeting, I walked into our house and heard laughter coming from the living room. I peeked inside, expecting to see Emily watching TV. Instead, I saw her and my business partner, Jake, drinking wine on my couch. Our couch. Way too close. I didn't say anything. I didn't even react. I just walked upstairs, pretending I hadn't seen a thing. Because if what I suspected was true, I wasn't going to confront them. I was going to destroy them. Step 1. Gathering evidence. I spent the next month playing dumb while secretly collecting proof. I checked financial records and noticed some strange transactions. My business had been bleeding money, except I wasn't the one spending it. Emily and Jake had been siphoning funds, using the company's accounts for their little getaways. I installed security cameras at home. What I captured was disgusting. While I was out working, they were right there, in my house, laughing, drinking, and doing things I won't even repeat. Step 2. The setup. Instead of exploding with rage, I got strategic. First, I met with a lawyer. I had to make sure that when I struck, there was no way for them to recover. Then I slowly started transferring my shares out of the company and freezing Jake's access to everything. While he was busy playing house with my wife, I was setting him up to lose his entire stake. And Emily? She had no idea that her cushy lifestyle was about to collapse. Step 3. The grand finale. Once I had full control of the company, I arranged a special meeting with Jake and Emily at our favorite upscale restaurant. I acted as if I wanted to celebrate a new business deal. They arrived together, probably thinking they had me fooled. I ordered drinks and casually slid a folder across the table. "What's this?" Jake asked, smirking. "Proof that you're a lying snake," I said, "and evidence of you both stealing from me." The color drained from their faces. Emily stammered, "I can explain." "Don't bother," I interrupted. "I already filed for divorce. You'll be served tomorrow." Then I turned to Jake. "And you? Your shares? Gone? Your career? Over. Consider this your last free meal." Jake tried to fight back, but the contracts were airtight. The company was legally mine now, and he was out. Emily? She had no job, no money, and nowhere to go. The aftermath. Jake lost everything. Last I heard, he was drowning in debt, trying to start over. And Emily? She begged me for another chance. I laughed in her face. Now I'm running the business solo, more successful than ever. And as for love, I found someone who actually values loyalty, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that betrayal doesn't deserve mercy. It deserves consequences.
She cheated with my best friend. So I made her regret everything. The perfect life. Or so I thought. For 6 years, I thought I had it all. A beautiful wife, a loyal best friend, and a thriving career. Olivia and I met in college, and she was everything I ever wanted. Smart, charming, and supportive. My best friend, Daniel, had been with me since childhood. We built everything together. Friendship, memories, even a business. Life was perfect, until I found out it was all a lie. The first red flag. It started small. Olivia became distant, always on her phone. Daniel, who used to come over all the time, suddenly had work every evening. At first, I ignored it. I trusted them. Then one night, Olivia left her laptop open. A notification popped up, a message from Daniel. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." My heart stopped. Gathering the evidence instead of confronting them right away, I played it smart. I acted normal, even kinder than usual. I needed proof. I started tracking Olivia's location. Every time she said she was going out with friends, she was at Daniel's place. I installed security cameras in my house. What I caught was soul-crushing. Daniel, my best friend, sneaking into my house when I wasn't home. Olivia welcoming him like I never existed. In my bed. That's when I knew. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to destroy them. The revenge plan. Daniel and I co-owned a business. My business, really. He had 30% of the company, but I handled all the finances. Olivia had no idea, but when we got married, I had her sign a prenup. If she cheated, she got nothing. I made my move. I quietly bought out Daniel's shares using a third party, making him think he still had control. I drained our joint bank accounts and moved everything to my name. I secretly put the house up for sale. Then, I set up the final act. The ultimate betrayal. I told Olivia I was going on a business trip. Then I called Daniel and said I needed to talk. Alone. He invited me over. Perfect. Before going, I made sure Olivia was already there. Then I walked in. Their faces turned pale. "Hey guys," I said, smiling. "Having fun?" Olivia stuttered. "This isn't what it looks like." "Save it," I said, tossing a folder on the table. "Here's your eviction notice, Olivia. The house, sold. The bank accounts, empty. Oh, and Daniel, you don't own part of the business anymore. You work for me now." Daniel's jaw dropped. "What? You should have checked the contracts before sleeping with my wife." The aftermath. Olivia begged me to reconsider. I laughed in her face. Daniel, he had no savings and no job. I fired him the next day. Now, my company is bigger than ever. Olivia moved back with her parents, broke and humiliated. Daniel? I heard he's struggling to find work. As for me, I sleep just fine at night. Because sometimes karma needs a little push.
I caught my wife cheating, so I made her regret it in court. The perfect marriage. Or, so I thought. Sarah and I had been married for 10 years. We had 2 kids, a beautiful home, and what I thought was a rock-solid relationship. She was my best friend, my partner in everything. I worked hard to provide for our family, running a successful business, while she stayed home to raise our children. But one day my world came crashing down. The late-night calls. It started with little things. Sarah would step outside to take phone calls at night. She suddenly cared more about her looks, buying expensive lingerie, hitting the gym daily, and staying out late with her friends. I trusted her, until the night I saw a text on her phone. It was from someone named D. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing." Catching her in the act, instead of confronting her, I played it smart. I acted normal, kissed her goodbye every morning, and told her I'd be working late. But I wasn't at work. I was following her. One evening, she told me she was having a girls' night. I checked her location. She was at a hotel. I had a friend working security there, and he did me a favor. He let me into the hotel's security footage, and there she was, walking into a room with another man. The silent setup. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. I planned. First, I hired a private investigator to gather solid proof. Then I met with the best divorce lawyer in town. Finally, I quietly transferred all our assets out of our joint accounts. Because Sarah had no idea, she had signed a cheating clause in our prenup. If she was unfaithful, she would get nothing. The perfect execution. The next morning, I kissed her as usual and told her I was going on a business trip. Instead, I went straight to my lawyer. We filed for divorce immediately. That night, I came home early, with my lawyer and a court official. Sarah was sitting on the couch, scrolling on her phone. She didn't even look up, until I said, "Sign these." Her eyes widened. "What is this?" "A divorce," I said. "You cheated, and I have proof. According to the prenup, you get nothing. The house, mine, the cars, mine, the kids, staying with me. You're leaving." She laughed nervously. "You can't do this." I slid the private investigator's report across the table. Pictures of her and her lover, hotel receipts, text messages, GPS logs, undeniable proof. Her face turned white. The aftermath. She tried to fight it in court, but the judge sided with me. She got nothing. She moved into a tiny apartment while I kept the house and full custody of our kids. Her lover turned out to be married too. When his wife found out, she divorced him and took everything. Now Sarah and her soulmate are broke and miserable. And me? I walked away with everything.